You're listening to Polymatic.media, episode 75 for December 2020. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John. How's it going?
2020 is almost over.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I didn't do it to you, but I wanted to say episode 75 recorded in December 2020.
Shut up.
It's okay. I understand. You're still working on your art book. How's that coming along?
Well, last week it's been kind of quiet because I had some tooth problems where I was in pain a lot. So that kind of sucked.
You just told me about it too.
On Sunday, I ate something, used toothpick, and then around Monday evening, it started to hurt really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spent the rest of the week in pain until on Wednesday I was like, oh, I'll call the dentist, and they said, oh, you should have called earlier. And then on Thursday I had an appointment, and on Thursday the dentist said, oh, you should have really called earlier.
Yeah,
they were scolding me for being
I mean, that's what dentists do, right?
I'm
if
like,
it's not your actual dentist, it's usually one of those, whoever cleans your teeth yells at you for not doing it so perfectly. Or
oh yeah, no, they're fine people, but like they were telling me, like, I do this a lot where I wait because I'm like, I don't want to bother somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the same thing with when I had a gallbladder infection. I spent the entire night in pain. And like, I think maybe this was worse because it was actually a nerve. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But for like the gallbladder infection, that hurt a lot too. And they said, oh, you should have like called in the middle of the night because it's not great to be in pain. It could have been worse.
Yeah. So, how I became type 2 diabetic has a lot to do with apparently having a chronic infection that had been many years in the making that I wasn't aware of. And so it's not so much I had dental pain. I had a couple unique instances where I had a bad problem. And that was about the time where like I needed my wisdom teeth out. And at that time, somewhere in my 20s, I had a recommendation from somebody because I went off and I found a dentist on my own in the network. And I had a good dentist. And then they switched me to another dentist in the practice. And she should have manhandled me in a really rough way that was uncomfortable. And the work wasn't great. And things were falling out. And it wasn't like I was eating sticky things that were pulling fillings out or anything like that. And up to that point, I really didn't have much need for dental work, but I found a dentist who started just sort of drilling into my face tremendously all of a sudden.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And maybe that was legit. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But like some part of me thought that was very suspect. So I had a coworker and her mother worked at a particular place that was real close to me, and she's like, oh yeah, I love that place and I know all the dentists and da, da, da. So like, okay, so I went and and that place was like 5 minutes from my house, and the work was pretty good, except again, same kind of thing where his corrections kept coming back out, and at that point in my career I wasn't making a tremendous amount of money. So long story short, he was also sort of mining for gold out of my face. And then I had my wisdom teeth. And then he was like, all right, we got to take a break from all these, treatments and because my face needed to heal. And then I just sort of didn't go back. And I think somewhere in the mix of all that, someone, whether it was that last one prior or whatever, sealed up an infection. And it started to cultivate over a few years. And by the time I was having some real serious things, I found a brand new dentist. And at that point, that was about the tipping point just beforehand where I became diabetic.
Okay.
And so he's like, that dentist was, and he's my now dentist now. And I've followed him wherever he's gone between switching, moving the business or whatever it is. But he's great. But he's like, yeah, so what happened is that infection supercharged your metabolic system, and your endocrine system basically was overcompensating, and it did it in a way where it probably is the reason that you're now type 2 diabetes, right?
Okay. Well,
And so taking care of your dental stuff's important, dude.
yeah, I know. But I had a root canal, and apparently the root canal wasn't done properly, and the root
Yeah,
canal was done this year.
yeah,
So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the problem, then we'll have to talk about how we're going to fix that because now I have an appointment in January, and I've got antibiotics because apparently it is a root infection. So
hmm
like there's a little tiny bit left of the root, and they didn't fill it up properly.
Oh, yeah. Look,
So
if you lived out this way, I got a good dentist for you. I know all the stuff now.
well, apparently the problem is that the dentist that is really like specialized in root canals,
Yeah.
he's taking December off.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's
got
why
you.
he's not being able to do that. He was there.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but I've got plans, so I can't really do this right now. But like, if you want it fixed properly, we'll do it in January. So he's a
Yeah.
good guy. He looked like a jolly, short man.
Yeah.
He looked like he specialized his entire life in root canals. He looked exactly like the guy that would look like that.
The person who has done a lot of the dental surgery for me. If you look at this guy walking on the street, you wouldn't think anything about him. But when he needed to do a couple things with dental surgery, he is just absolutely fantastic and effective and efficient at it. And the only reason that I literally all this stuff is now important is because I have to stay on top of it because it's part of the balance of sort of my diabetic situation and nature. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, my recommendations for you, because I knew this stuff well enough, because I've been through this a lot because of the sort of inflamed nature of my diabetes, that led me in a direction where I had to get smart about it. And I've developed a couple things I use when I need them, and they're no hydrocox codeine or whatever the name of the actual technical name of the meds are. Like I Advil, Aleve, that does it. Stay away from caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
No Tylenol or aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. So
Yeah. So what I because on Monday and Tuesday, I was like, oh, I've got a cavity, right? That's the thing.
hmm
But it got worse and worse, and I was taking paracetamol, which is like I think it's Tylenol is the US version,
yeah.
and it's the same thing. So I switched over on Thursday to ibuprofen. They wanted to give me a script for it. I was like, I've got this at home. I don't need it, and my mother is allergic to it, so I should probably not take it. Like on the end of Thursday night, it was in so much pain. I was like, okay, fine. I'll take one. If I die, then the problem is over. I was that. I was in that much
Right,
pain.
it's so distracting. You can't do anything
I
about it,
could
and
not focus on Thursday. I was
yeah, I
so,
know.
and
I've
I
had this
slept like a
problem.
baby
It
on
is it
on
is
Thursday
just
to Friday night. I was
it
like,
is
I
just
was
the
out.
worst.
I
It
was
is
out.
yeah, it's
I
absolutely the worst.
slept. I
Yeah,
slept maybe 1 or 2 hours over the rest of that week because I was in so much pain. I'm like,
yeah.
I could make it go away by drinking some water and making it cool, and it would hurt for a little bit,
No
but then it would go
temperature
away.
kill you.
Yeah. No, but the
No,
low temperature. But now the low temperature, if I do now, then it hurts.
right, because of the throbbing. The
Yeah.
other thing that was about this that I learned is this would be a problem for a while until it's sort of all settled down because your body will heal, but it takes time, especially after this stuff is repaired. Takes like anywhere from a few days to maybe a week, at the very least. Um, so I realized that like, oh, I have Advil in my laptop bag, at work, and I was sort of stuck at work. I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything about it, and no one understands that you're having dental pain. And it's like, get your stuff done. You got deadlines, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then I realized I had something, but that it basically expires. So over the course of time, as it gets closer to the expiration date, that stuff starts to lose its not its potency, but its effectiveness. So, um,
Which
whatever you
is
have in your cabinet, obviously it worked for you, so you're good. But if it's getting close to
no,
like,
no, it's good to 2023, so it's
oh, okay,
fine.
then
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
solid. You're in the effectiveness zone. But like as you get it will still kind of work afterwards, but it's not going to be nearly as effective. So you can't just like, if you're concerned about that stuff, like check your expirations on these
Well,
things and get
I
rid
now
of them.
know that I'm not allergic to
That's good.
ibuprofen, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
just don't do too much of it, and you'll be good.
No, I've got the 200 milligram, which is basically just the lowest
Yeah.
you can get, I think. And I'm usually not. I don't take any medication, so I'm trying to stay away as far as possible from anything. Like I got out of the hospital from a gallbladder surgery, and they wanted to give me these like really kick-ass medication
Oh
for like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
pain. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll take the paracetamol. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
Yeah, yeah.
suffer through the pain for a little bit, and that's fine.
I'm one of
And
those
it
people
hurts,
that
but
tries to
I
run as clean as possible
they
over the
wanted to
history of
give
everything.
they
You
gave
know,
me this medication, so I was like, why do I need a stomach protector? And they were like, yeah, that's because of the pain medication. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. No, don't give me that pain medication then, because I don't want to end up with a problem at some point. Right.
yeah. Uh,
These pain medication are great. I just want to be off them as soon as possible because I
hmm
don't want to have any trouble with this.
Right.
I know people
Yeah.
that have had trouble with this, and like the problem here over here in the Netherlands, there's not much of a problem with like pain medication stuff, but like in the U.S., I know that there's a big problem where they
hmm
overscribe the other ones
Yeah,
the
they crack down on that in they are now cracking down on the US. But yes, the
they are air
pharmaceutical
quotes cracking
industry
down.
is very well bad joke. Bad pun, John. Shame on you. um they
What?
it's a you said crack down.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad pun. Um Yeah, it is a thing, but I've always subscribed, even as a kid, to this philosophy. Um, Not somewhere I got anywhere, just something I decided on my own that I don't feel like I want to feel drugged up all the time. And that there is some value in teaching your body a little bit to know how to alert to and deal with pain, and not just sort of subdue it chemically all the time.
Yeah,
So
but I
I,
wish there was like some way to actually disable
right,
it. Like I want to have that flag.
right, I
Let me
understand. You want to be data.
checkbox.
Just turn it off.
Turn off this tooth. This one, just this one.
Yeah, yeah. So every one of these things has another imbalance problem, right? That
Okay.
causes another issue, right? So
Well,
like the ibuprofen, if you absorb too much of that, it can screw up your liver. So you don't want to mainline that, right? And
yeah.
so one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, you could every 4 to 6 hours, you're good. And I would hold out to like 8 or 10. Only in the
Mhm.
extreme pain stuff would I take it every maybe 4 or couple, and this is only maybe a couple days, and then after a certain period of time, would totally wean it out to a point where I was not dependent on it.
Yeah,
And
it lasts for about 8 hours, so I
right,
take max 3. So I took one this morning at 8 when I took my antibiotics because I have antibiotics for this stuff. What
right,
the hell? And
yeah,
then at 4, I took another one because that's when we started the podcast and didn't want to be in pain because I already felt it coming back. So
yeah, yeah. So you just have to make sure that you don't overdo it, and
this is now the dentist podcast, and next week
yeah,
we'll have
the dental cast.
Doctor such and such.
Look, if my dentist said to me, Alan, I want to do a podcast, can you help? I would totally help him.
You know, I would actually want to talk to a dentist at some point, like actually have a conversation with one,
hmm
but what their field is like because I I I, I had a dentist in another city
hmm
for a while, and he was really interested in what I did, like for tech stuff.
Yeah.
and he was always trying to chat me up about things, and he
Hmm.
remembered that I worked in that field, and he was like asking about 3D printing and stuff. So he was
Yeah.
really
There's
interested in that kind of thing, but like my current dentist is not interesting at all.
right. Yeah.
But
No.
it's fine. I don't want them to be interesting.
I like my dentist, and I hadn't, so the first time I saw him this year, and the whole pandemic stuff was interesting. But like as soon as I walk in, pre-pandemic or not, they just know me. Like they know my appointment literally second I walk in. Now, obviously, they know they're only seeing like 10 people, and they can remember. Just like, oh, I remember Alan. I don't think I never ever thought like I am so recognizable, right? I
Hmm.
had something at the pharmacy to pick up, and it was already like 2 days or something since they filled my prescription, and I'm wearing a mask. So basically, all you get is my hair and the basically top part of my face. I walk in, and they're like date of birth, like they already know exactly who I am. And I'm not coming in every other day or
Hmm.
anything like that, but so the point is that at some point I walk in, they're like, "Oh, hey, Alan, you be ready? Just sit down." They're like, so the whole experience is incredibly personable, and my dentist is incredibly personable. In that building, in his sort of in his practice, there's other dentists, but I really mostly see him. Every once in a while, I see one of the other dentists, but he is the more personable one, where he's like, "Oh, Alan, how's your year been?" Blah blah blah, and I said, "Oh yeah, new things this year," and he's like, "Oh, what new things?" I said, "New job, new car." He's like, "Oh, cool," and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing for a job?" And he went in and talked about it. Now, this is the catch-22 that I love and hate about dentists. I love that they're interested because they're spending time with you like an hour. But I
Hmm.
also they want to talk to you while they're like, "Oh, can you hear me?" Like you can't talk to them while, but they want to talk to you while they're working on you. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So let's stop talking about Dennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're feeling better, and I know this will be a thing, and it'll be improved in January, and it'll be
Yeah.
much better in February. So
Yeah. Well, I for now I can take the thing, right. So I can take the medication for now. That's fine.
yeah,
I'll survive.
you will. You'll do okay. Just gotta stay with him away from the caffeine, the teas, and the coffee, and the sugar, and the hot
Mm.
temperatures. Okay, so where shall we go? Because I don't even know anymore.
Yeah. So we had a discussion about using we used to use Trello for everything
Right. Yeah.
for the podcast, but Trello has been bought by Atlassian, and although I like their tools for the software we use at work, I hate their account system because it's a mess in my opinion,
Right.
right? And they started moving everybody over to a Atlassian account,
Mm-hmm.
um, and this will come back in a few minutes as well, about accounts from companies. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. We wanted to do a discussion, well, not as much discussion, more of like a list of things that we did this year, and or like we got, or we really enjoyed, or we liked this year.
Got us through the year.
Got us through the year. Yeah, it's probably a good description.
Yeah.
So we have a list of things, and I think we should not spend too much time on that, but like we could like not discuss everything in detail. We're just going through the like. There's a couple of things that we like this year,
Yeah.
and we'll just link to
That are
wherever it
worth
is.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not all the things because there's plenty more for me.
yeah.
All right. I guess so. You had listed me the stop. So in the sort of a category of apps. So this is sort of an app. A It's not just an app; it's other things. But because I'm diabetic, I make the extra effort to sort of log when I take medications and
Hmm.
when I see the doctor. Sort of my A1C, and every day I test my blood sugar, so I track that and all that kind of stuff. So as when this all sort of started years ago, there was an app that was kind of the least of the janky ones in Android, and I used it, but it didn't sort of as time went on and Android had sort of upgraded. the UI mechanism stuff started to break down. So I found another app. And then that one I lived on for a long while until they got sort of bought out. And then it got better in some ways. But again, at some point, it stopped kind of not functioning well because Android was sort of changing and growing, whatever it is. And the one thing is, it didn't really have any kind of like cloud sync stuff, but I could export an XML file and then I could manually upload that to my Dropbox to generally have it back up. So when I switch between phones, I could re import it, that kind of stuff. But at some point, that stopped kind of not being as effective. And so I found another app in between that was like, pay us $30 a year, we'll cloud sync everything. And it was the least of the janky apps, but it was also kind of pushy because they wanted to consult me on the medications I am taking and remind me to take my medications. And oh, also we can do mail at home prescriptions, and like it was real pushy in an irritating way.
Yeah.
But at least it was the best of the trackers that I sort of very quickly assessed and moved on to. And then where I was coming in and all this between like all kinds of healthcare stuff, like the problem with the healthcare system in the US for me specifically is I get prescribed meters, I get prescribed test strips, and those things are very expensive with the insurance. And as the insurance decides to change, that price on something goes up and down, and it's just extremely expensive. And so I saw this thing called OneDrop that was being advertised. So I took a look at it, and it had a much more modern meter. And it was basically a mail at home subscription. You pay whatever X amount a month, and they send you X amount of test strips. And it was a lot cheaper, and it was a lot more modern. And all these other, like, they cornered the thing on the health system for diabetes testing equipment and all that stuff just weren't modern. You got to use their app, or it didn't work, or only worked on iPhone, or it's just like no one gave a crap. So I came along this thing called OneDrop, which was basically an app plus a new, more modern meter.
Hmm.
So all this thing is good, and I pay very little. And every few months, I get a box of 100 of the test strips, which last me months. And then a new box arrives every, I don't know, 4 months or something, and it's just right aligned with everything, and I'm in good shape. And their meter is much simpler, much better, and it connects up to an app, and it's far more intelligent. So this is wonderful. I literally turn the app on in the morning, go do my test, and then boom, it all syncs together, and I'm solid. And it also acts as a replacement for these loggers. It's not perfect, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
And so that is something that I switched to this year, and it helped me save money, and it's a lot more modern. The only little caveat to this is the previous mechanism has these little lancers. This is the thing you put a little thing in there and you click a button and it hurts you, and it basically, you get blood,
Jabs
you
your finger.
test, yeah. So it jabs my finger, right? So that thing, the one that came with OneDrop, I don't like it at all. It's terrible. But the little weird case that they gave me, the previous one I was using, which I can just go to the pharmacy and buy the little Lancet cartridges, that one's golden. And so I sort of intermixed and came up with a perfect solution for myself. So that's OneDrop. And so that was something that's kind of meaningful to me because it's just a thing that I deal with on a daily
Yeah.
basis. And it takes care of sort of not having to enter that information in. It keeps track of stuff, and it can do more. Over time I'll fill it up with, all that stuff. But anyhow, so OneDrop.
So,
I guess you must have found it. So polymatic.link slash W6, not
yep.
an affiliate link.
Yep.
But
And none
it's,
of none of the links in this episode are going to be affiliate links. We
yeah,
never do affiliate links anyway, so
yeah. But
it's like,
it's some kind of a combo modern and, but also much more modern, tester. And I'm not sort of, imprisoned by whatever prescribed thing and the cost for that, right? It's completely independent. I
hmm,
don't, when my pharmacy decides that those 100 strips cost $80 with insurance, I don't have to worry about that. I just pay like $45 or something every 3 or 4 months or something like that.
hmm.
And I get a lot more. So that was good. Anyhow, moving on. The best therapy app for me this year was Animal Crossing.
I don't think that needs any introduction. I think
Yeah.
we both have it on the list. So
Yeah. So polymatic.link/WB.
yeah.
Um, okay. And then because I last job and I had this thing with emailing, I had a small team of people that I work with, and they were all sort of interested in development stuff, but sort of, if you let the day job dictate what's important to you from software development and sort of interesting things, then you basically become out of date very rapidly and you don't really know what's going on. So I'm always curious and interested about what's happening in the world with technology, software development, all that stuff, and I stay on top of it. So every once in a while, I'd share out a bunch of links, and that turned into an email. And then eventually it turned into more people aside from the people I work with. And then managers and people asked for to have their people put on the list. And then those people gave me links. And then I had this audience of 50 people or so. And eventually I just put it onto a blog. And it used to be easy where I would create like just a standard text file and copy and paste links, take the header and take the whatever and copy and paste it on a Friday and plug it into email. And because it was, these links are in email and you click on in your email app, it spawns up a new web browser. So that was a quality that I liked. And the other value out of it is all I had to do is go, sort of make the titles bold and boom, it was a real simple, easy process for me to put this thing out to an email. When I moved over to like Squarespace, just like a blog thing to make it easy, I copy and paste it. And at first it was fine. And I just had to go and make these things bold and turn everything into a link and then go in into its 6 degrees of clicking buttons to say,
Hmm.
target this to spawn a brand new tab. Because now it's going to be basically launched in a web browser. It was okay, but it was so expensive in terms of my time and usage of my time. And then at some point they upgraded their software, and when I copy paste from a simple text file, it became one long freaking string. So this turned into a manual effort of me making the HTML every day or every night or whatever it is to plug it into and it was just sort of a time waster. And for a couple years, the app that I would never talk about, but I've talked about with you, but won't really talk about too publicly, was a tool that could actually make this kind of copy paste process pretty easy. But I haven't gotten around to really spending a lot of time on it. So I finally got some fed up this year, and I just built myself like with a super basic, web app. Literally just loads in the browser with through JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, or whatever it is, and it's like got like 50 lines of code, and it literally lets me take the copy pasted from a text file and it does all the auto formatting, and then it literally lets me go into the Squarespace and say, post this using a code HTML block element, which allows me to copy paste the raw HTML in. So I literally go from assembling this list of links, copy paste it, put it in my little thing, it formats it, does all the link handling, everything for me in a second. I copy and paste that and create a new blog and put my couple tags and say when I want it to post. And so, while it doesn't seem like much, um, it was real important. And I even went to Squarespace and it's like, do you have an easier way? Because every time I want to take one of these links and then turn it into a link, yeah, it's a button click, but then I got to go in the button click and click the attributes and go here and then go to that thing. And is there an easier way I could do this? And they're like, uh, no, well, you could do this. And their answers, even though they were helpful, weren't really like the way you and I know. It's just easier for us to write the stupid HTML because we do it like a thousand
Yeah.
times a day. Um, and it was much easier for me to just get over my ego and just figure it out. I literally spent like 2 hours and I wrote 50 lines of code, and then it literally now is the most simplest little app for me that loads up. I just turn on my local web server and I just load the thing up, and boom, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's it. I call it Poster, but whatever. It's just my app that I use, and it is just makes this process so easy for me. So that's it. That's on the area of
And
apps for
you're
me.
posting that to your blog, and your blog is at.
Oh yeah. It, it's just called Food for Thought Friday because it's when I posted the emails. Um, and it's the well, I'll give you the Polymatic link, polymatic.link/wh. That'll take you over there if you're interested. I post, developer things, software things, geeky things. It's not all just like software development. It's mostly a lot of web development because I know the audience of people I used to work with, and even maybe some of the people that I work with now have found out about it. So I don't know how many people are looking on a daily basis, but I see some numbers, and so yeah. So fftf.dev or polymatic.link/wh. Okay. That was enough rant for about that stuff, right? Do you wanna go on and talk about some of your stuff, or you want me to just go down
Uh,
my line?
like for me, the applications and stuff they're linked to the things, so kind of might have to talk about those first. So you just go ahead.
Okay. New phone, Pixel 5. I'm basically wireless charging everything. Including this was I think a conversation piece. I don't know if it was in the show last month or not. But I developed this interest in, look, the wireless pads are fine, but the problem is they're flat, and the one I have on my desk, sort of my new desk upstairs, I sort of took a bunch of strips of rubber and sort of gaffer taped them and built a little like bumper. And I lifted to elevate it so I could kind of see my phone and wireless charge at the same time. But it sort of doesn't work. The wireless pad is fine, but it just doesn't work well enough. And my previous way is I would have a thing that was like a stand that I can move in front of me and whatever it is. So I got this idea. Uh, is there a long range wireless charger that I can use and mount underneath my brand new big desk? And apparently there is. I found one, and it's great. There's a particular area of my desk. I just put my phone down that's nearby me, and it starts charging, and it's good.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
we don't have it linked here, but the I just linked the Pixel 5. So
yeah, with polymatic.link/W7.
yeah,
This
but
is
the
the
the wireless charger, if you have the link for that, I'll put it into the show notes
yeah,
if you
I'll have to go dig it
give
up.
me
I
the
got it
link.
off of Amazon. It's called Hudley or something like that.
Yeah, well,
One of
it
the
sounds
little
interesting for me as well because I have desks here that I
yeah.
would like to have
The
wireless
only thing
charging on.
about it is that the way it mounts, and I didn't want to drill into the bamboo wooden desk that I basically bought. So this is sort of does double sided foam tape or whatever it is how it mounts underneath. I think they
Hmm.
all kind of do the same thing. It might come with screws. It might have screw holes to do it, but I didn't do that. So with that said, um, the interesting thing is it has this little plus sign that has little blinking LEDs on it when you're in the zone of your wireless charging. So it's kind of cool. I have this little like diagnostic device that I love. It's so great.
But you have to look underneath the table because it's stuck underneath the table, right?
Well, it's you put it where you want it, and then you have this little cross diagnostic device that comes with the Hudley, and you find where it is, and they give you this sticker, which took forever for me to like get the backing off of, and then I line the two together and plug it straight down, and good. And I have a little sort of sticker that gives me the zone. Um,
Okay.
Yep, it works out. I mean, you don't need the sticker if you generally know where it is, and you just move to your phone until it starts, going in the mode. You're good. So that was a new thing for me this year. And I will mention about the new desk in a second. I my particular phone case company that I like is called Spigen, or something like that. They're the ones I like to get cases from. So I did. I picked up one for the armor case or whatever it is for the Pixel 5, and it's good. I like it. But I also know I heard about Later Case, which they make these ultra thin phone cases that are made from Kevlar. Again, not a sponsor. Polymatic.link/5 Polymatic.link/W8. I don't know why I'm saying 5. And so I switched it off and I like it. It's really good. It's real nice. And it's super thin. Normally, when you take like a case from like one of those otter cases or whatever it is, it bulks up your phone in such a way where
Yeah.
it makes it feel a lot bigger. But I've always done that. So even though inside that case my phone is like this new thin, you know, my new phone is the most bezel-less, whatever. It's so weird. I'm so used to not holding a phone like that, and when it was in the phone case, it felt bigger, and so it's taken some time to get used
What
to
I
that.
have with like my phone cases, what I usually have is like there's an edge at the end at the top of the screen, so it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't when it drops like face down, it doesn't
Yeah.
crack the screen. This is why I have these bumpers around them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Does it have one of those?
No, the later case is really ultra thin. I
Yeah.
mean,
Okay. So in
it's
case you drop it on its face, then it's still going to be broken.
right, sure. But even with the okay, so with the armor case, yes, it does have a little bit of a bumper that lifts away from the screen. So yes, so if I was in this case, if I was to move my finger straight across flush against the screen, I can do it in and out of frame of the screen. Where in the armor case from I'll call it Spigen, um, or Spigen, whatever. Yes, you're right. I would get a lip from the bumper of the sort of the case. So yes, it would have some separation from the actual ground, from before cracking. Um, so yes, you're right about that, and I'm trying it out. In either case, what I also learned was I couldn't use my pop socket when I switched to my new phone because it's millimeters of distance off of the wireless pad, and unless you have something that's long range that is sort of mounted underneath my desk, um, it won't work. But the reason I didn't just put the pop socket on this case and whatever and be happy, is because I have a wireless pad in my car, and that wouldn't work if I had a pop socket
Hmm.
attached to it. So yeah. Okay, so moving along, rushing along, because what I'm doing.
Well, you're not rushing, that's for sure.
Okay, so new desk. That was redid my new area. That included new ultra wide monitor. That included new side monitors. I set up existing lights. I think I bought at least one mic, new mic, existing mics, so I could do podcasting and sort of streaming stuff upstairs. Reorganized the whole area. It's just a much better workflow for sort of like work life and non work life. I mean, I literally am sitting in that chair for 14 hours a day without much pause. I cable managed 90%, 95% of it. Obviously, it gets a little messy as I move things around, and then I finally bought new chairs,
Hmm.
which
Did you
is
install your new microphone thing yet?
I have not yet, but I've been thinking about how I might use it. I don't know if I want to swap it out or if I might use it for the one of the. I have a shotgun mic above me, for coverage for like streaming stuff. So I can have a mic coverage above me, but not necessarily in frame. So I might use it for that. And yes, thank you for your gift. Blue Microphone makes these arms, these mic arms, and their solution is a lot more streamlined than Rhodes. Rode makes mics and all kinds of stuff. They're an Australian company. They make really good mics as well. They have a pretty good solution, and I have a lot of those. But I wanted to try out the blue one, so John gave me a holiday gift. So thank you for that.
Yep.
Okay, so moving along. I got a new car this year. You all know about that. I joined an auto club. I'm involved with that. New system. Okay, so I bought a new system because the one in the studio was slowing down. I just spent less than $1,000. Got this new system. We talked about it before. I'm talking through it right now to John, recording even on it. And it's great. It's modern, and because it was modern, the modern soundboard that I have and its USB goodness finally started to activate the second I connected it to a much more modern PC, and so has been wonderful. And because the system is modern, doing the OBS stuff and streaming down here is a lot easier. which included me buying more Stream Decks, which I'll talk about in just a second. I also ordered a new PC that I probably won't get until maybe late this month, if not probably somewhere in January.
Hmm.
They have a pretty backlog.
Or better said, when this podcast episode comes out.
Or whenever. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see which is first. uh, but this is a very powerful system. I was looking to get a very beefy laptop, and the problem is all the laptops that I would want to get have too much compromise in areas where I'm uncomfortable with them, or the one that I was comfortable with is just not been available, and it's gotten to enough time has passed. We are now in the 30 series when it comes to RTX, NVIDIA graphic cards. So, John was put the sort of the idea in my head: get a tower, build a tower, get a tower, build a tower. And in this context, I think he's right. But I ordered it because I just don't have time to build it, and I
Yeah, that's fine
ordered
too.
a pretty beefy system from Main Gear. So we're talking the is it 5900? Yeah, the 5900 Ryzen AMD with a 3080. Because most of these companies that do this stuff, they're the ones who have most of the RTX cards
Yeah.
or have the most accessibility to ordering them from
Yeah,
companies.
that's probably the only way you can get one
Yeah,
at the
and
moment.
also has water cooling and has right now only has 32 gigs of RAM, and I'll upgrade that later. And it only has 2 terabytes of NVMe, whatever And I'll definitely add more stuff for because I want to use it for as my normal and as to help editing with the film. So making and editing 4K stuff is going to be tremendously easy.
Hmm.
Okay, so moving along, rushing along. Stream Decks. I got the 15 key down here. I have one upstairs. I used it here for the OBS. I used it for launching apps down here in the studio. We used it for when we did sort of our stream recording things. Upstairs, right now, it is mostly an app launcher. It does have a bunch of OBS stuff sort of rigged up for the upstairs setup. I mostly use it more actively to launch and play with and control all sort of the hue lights in the house. Okay, moving along. Favorite things: the Sony wireless headphones, the WH-1000XM4s. These things are amazing. I love them. And
Hmm.
um, I'm working from home, so I all the noise and stuff that would generally bother me during recordings is also kind of a problem for when I'm working. I live not far from a landscaping company, and they crush rock, and you can feel and hear these big pounding things for like 20 minutes. And it's so irritating. Or when the landscaper comes around in the area, and because I live on an end unit, they spend a lot of time, mowing and the weed whacker and making a lot of noise outside right around the house, and it's so irritating during my workday. So I can put these headphones on and I can turn them on, and oh my god, the world goes away. And it's so great for my sanity. Polymatic.link/WD. They're noise canceling. They're Bluetooth wireless. They allow me to connect between my work laptop, my phone, and my personal laptop pretty seamlessly. Okay, so moving along. Last little things. Quip. Quip is a company that has sort of semi-modern vibrating toothbrush. What's neat about it is made from aluminum casing, and I got this subscription. I don't know, a while ago. I paid like $55, and for the last several years, every 2 or 3 months, I get a new little head I can snap off and replace with a battery. They added a Bluetooth module. So I added that. They don't have the Android app yet. I'm curious what that offers. But one of the things is they came out with a new color. They came out with this limited edition black one, I think maybe last year. And so I got it. And the problem is I have this abundance of these white plastic heads and these and also blackheads I can snap off. So I have like 2 subscriptions now because I got a new toothbrush. And so what I was doing is sort of intermixing. So I have this black and white toothbrush. It's pretty cool. Plus, also, I generally recommend it. We don't have a link. I think it's Get Quip,
Yeah.
QUIP, if you're interested. I love
You
it. My
probably have heard
dentist,
of them before, and they're linked on every freaking
yeah.
podcast out there.
My dentist, I said, yeah, I switched to a new thing because they're always trying to sell me on Sonic Care, and they're like, oh, I heard about that. And then, the last time I saw them this year, they're like, oh, how do you like the Quip? I like it really too. And like, now I got my dentist converted, and all the people in the office, because I just mentioned that I switched to it, except for the person that does the cleaning, she still loves her Sonic Cares. So, yeah, I spent fifty-five
I have a
dollars.
Sonic Hair, by the way.
Hmm?
I have a Sonic Hair.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about it.
Yeah,
They're just
works
very
really well.
expensive. They're water picks. They're really good.
Oh no, they're not water picks. They're like
Oh, they
just
have water pick
toothbrushes.
ones too.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
one
yeah.
they're always trying to push on me.
Oh, okay. What
Yeah,
my dentist said, like water picks. Yeah, it's not going to do much more than just a piece of wood.
yeah,
It's
but
like,
the Quip works really well, and then the value add here is I literally can just pop off that head every couple months, and I have a new one comes in the mail. And the problem is I didn't do that originally. It's not like the head wears out, but like from a hygienic perspective. And so I
mm,
had this sort of backlog. And I think somewhere along the line when I ordered it, I didn't realize when I ordered the thing lifetime, whatever, maybe in the marketing material, I think I ended up buying a lifetime subscription of the refills. Plus, when you just buy one of the things, it comes with that lifetime thing if you spend that extra money for it. So if like
mm.
I had this abundance of heads, so I literally in my cabinet, whatever in my
You can start selling them.
yeah, I don't know. So I have too many, and so I can switch them anytime I want. So it's been value. And then not because it's a good toilet paper resource, but there's a company who is making paper products out of bamboo, and bamboo is easy to grow. It consumes a lot less resources to do it, and they've made some pretty good toilet paper and paper products. So I know it's odd to talk about it, but it's called Real, as in W. What am I saying? WREEL paper. I think that is the realpaper.com. I think is the site. Uh, they started making paper towels, which I like. They don't feel soft and fluffy like normal paper towels do, but they're really, really strong. They're really good. Toilet paper is really good. So anyhow, that was a new thing for me this year. It's sort of like a favorite thing. And then the last favorite thing for me, uh, I bought an electric kettle. You think it
Okay.
wouldn't be important or anything, but I hit a button and like a few minutes, it's right at temperature, and I can set the exact temperature I want, and it's super wonderful. And so there, that's it. Those are all the things for me this year. I know I was talking to like probably 30 minutes. Do you
Look
have any
longer.
questions? Please don't have questions.
No, I have no questions.
Okay. Is any of the tech that I shared there interesting to you?
The wireless charger is probably going to be something that I'm going to buy, but
Yeah.
I have to go look it up, see if it's
I
actually available over here.
I know on Black Friday, or at least in Cyber Monday or whatever it is, the Sony WH-1000 XM4s are typically $350, and you go, oh, that's a lot. But I'll tell you, in the case for me, when I need to sort of silence the world, it has been invaluable.
Hmm.
Especially when I'm working on something complicated at work, and then my roommate is making a smoothie, or I have neighbors' kids making lots of noise next door, or outside, or the landscaper,
Or the fire alarm going off.
or something going off, and I just need silence because I can't concentrate. I put these things on, and they're just wonderful. Um, so on the Cyber Monday, Cyber Friday stuff, they were only they were basically $70 off. So if you ever see them come up for a sale, and probably by the time that happens, the M5s will probably be out. But these things are wonderful, and I highly recommend them.
Hmm.
They're worth the 280. I know I spent
I
350
heard somebody
bucks.
talk about this, about them being on sale on a regular basis. I think it was. I think
I
it
don't know about
was.
regular basis, but I definitely noticed during the Black Friday time. the last
Yeah, but
couple weeks.
like the Black Friday deals are not specific to Black Friday. They happen every couple of months.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I think it was MBKHD
maybe.
his podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
Waveform.
I have the WF 1000 XM3s, which are pretty good in earbud format. They're pretty good for noise canceling. Um, I I heard between them and the AirPod Pros, I think people have a hard time emitting it or something. But I think the MX3s are or the XM3s or whatever it is, I think are slightly better than the AirPod Pros. And the AirPod Pros are a newer product. But the M4s basically school the wireless earbud versions in terms of noise canceling, and then quality's good too. The only kind of irritating part is the app to control it is on the phone. It doesn't exist really for Windows,
Hmm.
um, which is kind of irritating. So if you want to turn the noise canceling thing off or how it functions, you don't really have an app to go to a little notification tray and like tweak it, like and you can plug a normal cable into it though, and it
Hmm.
will bypass it if you want. So yeah, so that's it. Those are all my things for now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I've also got a list of things.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
going to go
listening.
through them pretty fast because most of this stuff we've already discussed. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I bought a Cintiq 24, and that's Polymatic link slash VY. It's my precious. I've got another thing that we'll talk about in a few seconds, few minutes, that I use with it because it doesn't come with a stand and it's very expensive. Um, the tablet itself was very expensive, and the stand is even more expensive. It's about $600 for the stand alone. So yeah, that was great. I also had earlier this year I got the Cintiq 16, not Pro version,
Mm.
and it came with a stand. Oh no, it didn't come with a stand. I bought the stand as well. They don't come with stands. Yeah, I had to buy the stand for that one as well,
Hey, at least
and I
they're
had
not
to.
$1,000 and then have $400 add-on for to roll it around.
Hmm. So, Polymatic link slash VX for that one. And I use it to replace my Cintiq 21UX. And I also have a non recommendation, and I don't know if that's even possible because we're going to try to keep this positive. The Huion Canvas Pro 22
Right, yeah.
is a piece of garbage.
Yeah, you had your own saga with that this year.
That I think that was end of last year, but yeah, I wanted to replace my 21 UX because it was too warm, and I sold the Canvas Pro like I think like 2 weeks after I got it because it was just not great. But Polymatic link slash VZ, I hear they've gotten better, and there's a lot of people that really like them for some
Hmm.
reason. I suspect they're all bots.
Is it possible that it's due to some qualities of the Cintiq that you're used to, and you know,
No, 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 no. This is like the problem is that the screen is really bad. The color representation was really bad, and
okay, got
I
it.
know that that is because of um
Panel.
the glass that they use. They have like this etched glass stuff, and I fixed that on my Cintiq as well. I mean, this is not unique to Huion, but like even with like a correcting protector over it, like there's a clear um, protector you can put over it, and then it takes care of that it takes the matte glass away. So there's reflections on it then, but then at least the colors are closer to what they were supposed to be. But even with that on it, it wasn't great. So and then there was the wobbly lines and stuff. There was a whole saga about it. I like the Cintiq 24 a lot more. It's also a lot more expensive, but the Cintiq 16 was a good alternative. You can also get a Cintiq 22, which is 22-inch one, but you'd still have to buy like the stand, and you'd have to buy like the controller that goes with it. So there's like a little express key remote is what they call it. I'll show it to you in a
Add-ons,
second. There's like this little
pins.
thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
This
got
thing,
you.
and it comes with like the Cintiq 24. So
Hmm.
and it comes with the Cintiq 24, and that's great. But it's still a lot of money. I did spend it because I do it a lot. I draw a lot, so I really like that I have this thing now, and I've saved up for it. So it was very expensive, $2,100. So yeah. So Huion Canvas Pro is not a recommendation for me, but still, if you want to check it out, Polymatic.media/VZ. Then I also built a new computer. And what I've done is went to PC Part Picker. And if you go to Polymatic/ArchPC2020 or Polymatic/W0, it will take you to the list of the parts that I put in the computer. So, yeah, that's my RPC. It's not like the most fanciest machine ever, but the plan is next year, February-ish, I'll be building myself a new computer again.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna go like with the latest AMD processors and stuff, and like lots of memory. I'm actually targeting 128 gigs of memory, so
Yeah,
it's going to be fun.
at some point I'll probably upgrade the new system to 64, but I noticed on my laptop that's at 32. I probably usually, even a more extreme case, no more than 40% or something in my usage.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I know I have the capacity to go much higher up. So that's the
Hmm.
nice thing. And
Well,
I won't be doing, obviously I don't have an RPC, but I'll probably be buying a newer Ultrabook summer next year.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get this thing because I needed like a better PC because my Cintiq is 4K. And my old FX based AMD machine did not like that at all.
Hmm.
It had 16 gigs of memory max, so it was already maxed out, is what it could put into it. So I wasn't able to like put more memory in it, get it faster or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I
Does it
had to build a new
rely
PC.
at all on graphics cards?
That's the problem. These applications, like for example, Photoshop. I think Photoshop does have some optimization, but like for Clip Studio, it doesn't.
Mm,
So
got it.
I
Okay.
had to invest in a new PC,
So
and
you,
like the difference
yeah.
between the speed in between these machines is so much.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is it like
Uh,
I could when I rotated on the 4K screen on the old FX system, I could rotate and like go drink a cup of coffee or something. It
yeah.
was not great
Right.
because
And it's not
it was
like,
using DDR3. It wasn't really like it
right.
wasn't as fast as the
And
newer
your
stuff is.
resolution is actually pretty high on these things. These aren't like what most people are doing, for like your 1920 by 1080. Your resolution is usually way higher than that, right?
Yeah, so when I
Yeah.
draw, I usually go on A4 size with like
Hmm.
350 DPI.
DPI. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, right.
so
So most people, just give context for those who don't know, most screens, your screen resolution is typically 72, sometimes 96, but typically 72. And so the same, you know, whatever number by whatever number at 72 is actually technically a lot smaller than the same number blah, 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 at 350 DPI dots per inch. Has to do with printing stuff. But
I'm working at that resolution because I
yeah,
want to do like printing stuff.
yeah,
But like it doesn't display that on the screen. The screen is still just
right.
4K.
But in terms of the computer's perspective, even though it looks all roughly the same thing, the just to give people context, the resolution is significantly bigger. That's the point, right? So,
And the thing is, because I put a clear screen protector on it that
mm,
fixed the hole, and that's the thing. I've linked this before in the past with like previous episodes, but there's a problem with the Cintiq 24 and the 20 and the 32.
mm,
So they have this matte glass, etched glass thing, and if you don't put a screen protector on it, it's gonna blur everything.
mm-hmm.
So you have a 4K screen and you put an etched glass topping over it. So you're basically reducing the resolution again because everything is blurry.
Yeah,
So
I have
I
the
have
same
no
kind
idea.
of
They're like
Pro-
anti-glare, wonderful. No, it's paper-like. No, it's not. It just wears your
yeah.
nips faster.
What I learned this year, and I haven't done it yet, for Spigen, Spigen, whatever. They apparently also make for Teslas, the Model 3 and the Model Y, they make screen protectors, and they make them in the glossy and the matte. And I didn't know that. I already put one on. I mean, I could pop it off and replace it with their version. But sometimes having the glare on that screen is kind of annoying. It can be in the way.
Yeah,
And
but I don't care about the glare because I'm in a dark room. Like
right,
I can
yeah,
control the
sure, I
light
got
in
you.
this room.
Right, yeah, okay, I got you. And so in my case, I had thought about maybe buying the mat and putting it on there. I also heard it doesn't fuzz it out, but you'd lose a little resolution in sort of
Yeah,
the matting and the
the
diffusion.
the thing that they do with these screens, it feels more like
Frosted.
it's almost like a like if you move your head, there's like some sort of parallax happening,
Ah, okay.
and it's like, but these screens they're bonded onto the glass,
Hmm.
right? So I have no idea why they don't just offer like a matte screen protector that can go with it, right? If
Hmm.
you want to buy it, but like leave the screen as is. Just leave it glossy. That's wonderful. Like the color representation on this screen is amazing,
Hmm.
but not with the gloss with the matte glass. It's just
Yeah.
horrible. Anyway, before I continue ranting about that, um, so RPC built Polymatic link slash W0 for my parts list if you want to have interested in any of that. I've also been using a lot of these T5, T7 Samsung SSDs.
Hmm.
These are so wonderful. They're portable SSDs and they're fast and they're used. I've
Yeah.
used them to copy my stuff from PC to PC a lot of times because I've
Hmm.
been moving computers. Like I've moved computers like 3 or 4 times this year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I have
um,
I think it's 2 terabyte 2 terabyte T5, and I know T7 was new this year,
mhm.
and they've made them even thinner and smaller.
Did it
I
come
don't
with
know.
like
I mean,
a touch thing sensor or like a fingerprint
oh,
sensor?
is that? Oh, right. Okay, that's part of its new stuff too.
Yeah, but
Um,
I didn't buy that one. I bought the normal one.
right.
So
So for me, this is good for rapid use case for with the filming.
yeah.
For the film. Obviously, in terms of the actual filming has been on pause this year. In terms of the production side of it, or at least the editing, I was still doing that throughout the year. And I don't know. I know they're so good that if you have a modern system where you have the right kind of bandwidth and the right kind of modern,
Hmm.
UI and the rest of the interior of the system, people literally edit off these things directly. I'm more of a fan of copying it into the system and editing off that first, but whatever. But definitely with the new system I'm getting, this could be something I do. I could pick up a T7, 2 terabyte or more.
They're very
Um,
expensive.
yeah, they are very expensive. Or
But
even
like
a two
I get
terabyte,
I think the
or
two
whatever
terabytes is
T5.
like 250.
Yeah, I mean they're not cheap,
But
but they're great.
the 250 and the 500 gig ones are pretty
Right. And
reasonable priced.
I think I bought a T5 or something. I stuck it in the car for its, dash cam stuff and
Hmm.
Sentry mode stuff. But I only bought a half a terabyte because that's more than enough for my use case in that.
Yeah.
But for filming the documentary stuff, especially with 4K files, no, two
Okay.
terabyte is the starting point.
Okay. So Polymatic link slash WF for
Yeah.
these SSDs. Also bought a new monitor. I actually bought it to use it for work.
Mm-hmm.
But turns out my Macs don't really like 4K. So yeah, I had
Is
to.
that an age thing?
I don't know. It's a pretty recent Mac, so I
Hmm.
don't know.
Okay.
It might be the dongle I'm using to do the because
Yeah.
it's a laptop, so it needs a dongle
Is
to
it driving it through DisplayPort 1,
no, it's
2, or is it doing it
HDMI.
through Thunderbolt?
HDMI.
Oh, okay, you're doing it through the HDMI. Okay. So your
So
monitor probably has a
it was
newer
stuck at
spec.
30 FPS.
Yeah, okay. So you're probably doing the HDMI 1, 1, 2, or something like that.
I don't know.
Uh,
It is able to drive. These dongles are able to drive like normal display. So I don't know. I think it's probably the dongle that's the
I am
problem.
sure you'll be upgrading your Mac eventually somewhere in the
It's the
near
work
future.
Mac, so I really can't really
Ah,
do
got
anything
it.
about it. So anyway, so I bought a an LG,
Mm-hmm.
the 27 LG UL 500.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's pretty nice. I really like it. I actually have a couple of LG monitors now that I really love. I had some trouble with them in the past because there was a line that suddenly ran through my screen.
Mm-hmm.
They fixed that at some point, and I bought another one, another widescreen, and I put that on my desk. And then my brother said, "Oh, I want to buy a new computer." So I built him a new computer, and then he was like, "Oh, actually want to get a new display because okay, I'll just sell you mine, and I'll buy." And that's when I bought this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I I I think the first LG monitor that I ever owned, I believe, is the one that I currently have. The 34-inch ultra wide that I got. Um,
Hmm.
and my current system with all the setup and the eGPU, it is totally handling the 44 hertz. I think the monitor um, by description said 144, but on the box it said 160. I don't know if that's turning G Sync on or V Sync or FreeSync or whatever the hell the thing is. I don't even know. I'm not following it up. I think it's FreeSync and what G Sync, right? Those are the two. This is one of those monitors that's compatible with both. But anyhow, my point is quality monitor, quality product.
Yep, I
Um,
really like LG monitors for now.
yeah.
I
So and
used to
I
be a fan of Philips because
yeah.
they're like really cheap and they're really nice for what they do. But I've switched over mostly to LGs now.
Yeah, most of the time I have an AOC. I've been doing some of the Dell ones, the ultra
I
sharps.
have an AOC as well because I nicked it from the office because we're not at the office right now. So I'm
Hmm.
just okay. Can I just take it home so I can have a desk with the monitor on it? Yep, sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
the when I
So
bought this AOC was somewhere well past when this thing was new. This thing I think had a new date of something like 2013. I might have bought it new in like 2016 or something like that, or 17. It's a pretty good monitor. It didn't cost that much. The touchscreen one I have over there is good. It's not really bezel-less or anything, but I pulled that out from upstairs and I bought a couple Dells, ultra sharp Dells that are only like 60 hertz because they're really meant for display, not for like gaming or anything crazy. Um, but I mean, outside of that, LG and Dell are typically where I go are my go-to spots for monitors usually.
yeah,
Samsungs, I haven't bought any of them, but I've definitely have considered them in the past.
they're
So,
good TVs.
yeah, but they also make some really good monitors too.
Hmm. Well, I actually have an LG TV now as well. So
Oh,
I
really?
don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I did away with my Samsung because the Samsung was just 1080. So I was like, okay, I
there's
want to
a
get a 4K one because I want to
yeah,
watch
there's
like
my
shows.
roommate bought a big TV many years ago and it's been sitting in the living room and he liked to watch it. It's slow. It's a Samsung. It's getting slower by the day. And it's I don't know, at this point it's got to be at least 10 years. It's more than 10 years old. Um
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have a TV, but I never use it. I
Right,
think I haven't used
exactly.
it in a year.
Mhm.
I
I
think the
have a
last thing I watched on it was the new Expanse season last year.
yeah, I have a Vizio TV that I again was cheap and I had it in my bedroom and I took it out because I watched where I watch things lately have been on the new ultra wide, on my laptop occasionally if I'm traveling or on my phone.
Hmm.
I am simply not sitting down in front of a couch looking at and more importantly, movie mode in the house has just not been a thing. I figured when I buy a brand new house, I am likely, because I have certainly bookmarked them over time, I will probably spend a few $1,000s on a projector, and I'll probably buy one of those short throw laser projectors.
Hmm. I'm thinking of like moving my TV into my bedroom just so I can like when I before I go to sleep I just watch some YouTube videos and I usually do on my phone or something.
Yeah, no, lately I just been doing it on that ultra wide. I mean, that is literally it's so good, so good. I love it when the
Anyway,
formatting is 100% on that screen. So I
so
love it.
Polymatic link says WE for the monitor that I bought. It's just, a link to the LG website. Then I also got a glass stand for monitors,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's what I put my Cintiq onto.
is this the same one I recommended? Is that what you're talking
I
about?
think it's similar. I think it's like a different brand, but like Polymatic link says WG. That's
Right.
a Amazon.de domain thing. I'm just linking to Amazon. There's no affiliate link attached to
Hmm.
it. It's just just a link to the glass stand.
Yeah, I
Alan really has a lot of these, and he was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, he recommended me to get one to like put the mixer and stuff onto." But eventually, I found a good use for it, and now it
Hmm.
actually works. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't use them
the
for
solution
monitors
I
at all.
made, the solution I did make for it is kind of ghetto. So I really need to. It's really iffy. Uh,
The legs are, I guess it sounds metal, but I think it's like
no, it's
plastic or
plastic. Yeah,
something. They're
yeah.
not, but basically you can kind of rotate them or screw them. They're like basically, screws,
Yep.
where they basically rise and fall. So they don't do it with any accuracy. So I basically just sort of keep them completely screwed all the way up, so they're just default whatever the short height. But for me, I wanted something to be able to separate pieces of audio gear, and anything that could get hot, from each other. Because before I was sort of stacking them on each other, and obviously when one thing would get hot, everything else would get warmer as a collective. So I bought a couple of these for downstairs, and I kind of like them. They're just glass.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I bought another set that I use for, again, similar audio gear upstairs. And then I bought a slightly different dimension one, for upstairs. And that's where I put the ATEM for the streaming stuff, because that can get hot. And I have a spare one, which I haven't figured out what I'm doing with it yet. So I have a bunch of these, but they're good. They look good, and they allow me to isolate equipment from each other and give them some thermal space
Mm.
and separation. So
Yeah. Let's see. I still have one more thing. So I bought another Logitech
oh yeah,
G502 gaming mouse. I
I
love
think I have a
these.
502. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
good.
they're wonderful. Polymatic
Yeah.
link slash W3. I have one at the office. I have one in my gaming computer thing, and I have one at my home office for like the desk that I put into the living room for my work. And
Uh,
I've hooked it up to
mm,
a USB 3 switch, so I can just push the button and it switches over to another computer. And I put my old FX machine there, so I can play some video games
mm.
after work or whatever. So I have at least some use for that computer as well. Anyway, Spallman link slash W3 for the gaming mouse.
Yeah, I have. My favorite had been the G900, even when they were still new. I know they have newer versions and stuff. So I have one down here, one upstairs, that I use, and then for work case, I bought the MX3, which does have a button for you to switch between computers, so you can sort of Bluetooth it or whatever their universal dongle or something between three different devices.
I have a another one, but I don't have a link for this. I bought the Logitech K380,
Hmm.
which is basically a keyboard which has buttons on the top left with like you can switch between
Hmm.
different computers. It
Yeah,
has like three Bluetooth radios, I think.
yeah.
So I can easily switch between the three, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah, I have the craft that I also picked up this year, which also has three different options for it.
Yeah.
Which I use the same keyboard between the work PC and I literally just switch from one and two. So it's great.
Yep. Anyway, I've got some applications that I use. OmniFocus, Polymatic link slash W1. We've talked about this in the past.
Hmm.
Or Polymatic link slash OmniFocus. I really love it to keep track of what I need to do. And if they had a synchronizable thing, I would be very happy about it. And something that also works on Windows or
Hmm.
on phones or something for like Android phones, because this is a Mac only thing.
Yeah.
It's very annoying. I would love this to be also available for Android, but it's not. So Gotta
That's
live with it.
sad. It's really sad when
There's a web-based tool for it, so
yeah.
there's that. But they don't
How
have they
mobile friendly is it?
it vary, but like it doesn't have any like group things. I would
Mm,
like to have this with a colleague, so
right, a
I
team
could
or collaborative thing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but they don't have that,
But
and
it
it's
does sync
understandable
to
because this is a it is a tool that you use for your own stuff. It's not meant for groups,
right.
right? So
I got it
I
for
get that.
teams.
Get that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mostly for yourself.
Mm.
And it kind of leads into the next one, which is something I've been trying out. Obsidian. It's an editor for Markdown, but it's like more like a group of documents, a vault they call it.
Right.
It's
They call it a
just a
vault.
directory with like some hidden files in there, and it's
Yeah, I
and
mean, there's the newer term today. A lot of people would hear as workspace or workbooks, notebooks, Jupyter
projects
notebooks.
projects.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
where they sort of it's like it's not just like a folder. It's a folder plus a whole bunch of other like hidden files or whatever it is. But it cultivates this idea that you can open up your notebook and then you could have all your
yeah.
corresponding folders
Well,
and
it's
files.
nice as like a replacement for OmniFocus. Not
Hmm.
OmniFocus, but like what's the name of
Trello,
no, the Note,
OneNote.
the no, not OneNote, the one Evernote.
Oh, Evernote. Sorry,
Yeah,
I went to
because the thing is, you can put like attachments and stuff in there.
right, but it's all marked down.
Yeah, it's all marked down, and Alan hates it because he
Well,
is stuck in the past, and
no, it's not so much that it's not that I hate it. I was getting used to it, but the problem is, what we did is we set up a thing, or John had set up a thing in our shared
if
Dropbox, and
if they have an Android or an iOS app,
yeah,
this
there's
would have been
no, it's all
wonderful.
local file stuff. So what you
Yeah,
can stick it to a Dropbox and sync it, and Dropbox will sync and file watch, and that's great. And so like me and John between computers can do it, but if we want to use it in replacement of Trello to like do our notes and talk about it actively like we are right now during the show, it's kind of problematic because there's no way of getting it to the phone in a synchronizable manner. And that's it. I mean, that's basically it. And
yeah,
so it's not what I hate, it's just that like the value add here is when we record right now, I don't need a noisy laptop sitting there spinning up and going through a thermal process every 20 minutes while we record. It would Trello at least had an app and we can go look at it. We could, it was silent. So that's it. There's
well,
my bitch
yep.
about it.
So Polymatic.link/W2, Polymatic.link/Obsidian.
Yeah.
You can. This is still in beta, and I heard about this from Cortex, which is a podcast by CGP Grey and Mike Hurley, who does a lot of other podcasts. So, um, I got a lot of the productivity stuff from there. So
Mm.
if you're into that kind of stuff, you should probably check out Cortex. I don't have a link for that, but you can just figure it out. I've also been using a lot of Clip Studio Paint, and they're coming out with a new version of it, and I'm loving it. That are going to do this. It's not out yet, but they have a time lapse feature, and that's something that I was talking about with somebody else in the art scene about like, hey, wouldn't it have been wonderful if there's like a time lapse feature in this thing? And then they came out with it. I was like, wonderful. So Polymatic/W4 for Clip Studio Paint is like $50 if you buy the normal version, and it's like $200 I think for like the full. But they have a lot of discounts, so they do a lot of like at certain dates, like every couple of months, they have like a discount day where it's like really cheap.
Mm.
So Polymatic/W4 for Clip Studio Paint. I use that almost every day for drawing stuff. So, and then there's PaintStorm, which is an application I found about somewhere this year. Some high-profile artists were using it, and I was like, "Yeah, that looks kind of nice." I haven't actually bought it, but I've seen other people that I trust use it, and it seems really nice for them. But it's more for painting. So Polymatic/W5. Yeah, I've also got some other things game related. Nintendo Switch. It's still wonderful every day. I can play Animal Crossing in bed, and just before I go to bed, just do the daily stuff, and also Animal Crossing. So Polymatic.media for Nintendo Switch, which is just taking you to the Nintendo Switch site, and Animal Crossing WB. So that's Polymatic.WB. I really like um, there's no need to do anything on it, and that's what makes me come back to it.
Right. Yeah. I
The only thing that's bothering me is the villagers that want to leave. And like you can be like the best friends of them, but they randomly just decide, "Oh, I've been thinking I want to go away." No, you're staying. You're staying on my island. I've put this much work into you. You're staying on my island.
I'm not that much attached, but I definitely want certain ones to stay, and I let certain characters rotate out. My newest one is Stu, and I don't know what he is exactly. I don't know
Is
if
that the blue cow?
is he a blue cow? He's got curly horns or something though.
Yeah, he's a blue cow.
Okay.
I have him too. I think he's wonderful. He
Yeah.
talks about his bugs that live underneath his
No, for me
underneath
that's
his.
Doc, the bunny.
Oh no, he will start doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what was interesting is I noticed last night because I went on later in the night to check out December. And I noticed that it was about 11 o'clock and I saw him rushing into his home because I was right outside his house. And then I went to go knock on his door and he's like, I'm asleep. And then I went to go look at Doc and Doc was the same thing. He's like, I'm asleep.
Yeah, they're lazy villagers.
Oh,
So
okay.
they do
Got ya.
the
I
lazy stuff.
generally try to talk to all of them when I show up, whenever
Hmm.
that is.
Yeah.
Um, and so Doc was the only one that I think I didn't find because sometimes they're hard to find. Sometimes they're not in any of the buildings,
Oh, they
and
hide inside of the shop as well, and then you can't find them anywhere.
right. So
And then the shop closes at like 10, and
right, yeah.
then they're gone. They're not on the island anymore. You have to stop the game and start the
Most
game
of the
again to find
time,
them.
basically, I get all nine. But but my highest average. Again, I'm not showing up every single day. And I'm
They're
not showing
10.
up at 5 o'clock. Like I'm showing up, end of my night, basically.
You haven't built the 10th house yet?
The
They're
10th
10.
house. No,
Yeah,
I
they're
haven't
10.
gone to 5 Star Island because I'm not like I didn't
No,
build a garden, an
you
isolated
need to get.
garden,
I
and
think you need to. There's 10 houses you need to
I
build.
have one, two, three, four up on the top there, five, six, seven, eight, nine.
There should be 10. I have
I'm
10,
not
I think.
including mine.
No, there's 10 villager houses.
Okay, so I don't know where we get to the 10th. Um, yeah, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight,
Yeah.
9, 10. Oh, okay, I am 10.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right, 10
So
villagers.
there's no way you wouldn't
I
like
forgot Doc's
they would
house.
have asked you to build new houses, like new
Right.
lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I talked to one of the villagers and they mentioned about, oh, it's gonna be great when we see snow coming. I can smell the snow in the air, right, or something like that. And
Yeah.
but no snow yet.
Yeah, it's a wonderful game. I also got another thing. There's no link for this because you're going to find it anywhere you type it in. So just Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I've been playing a lot.
Yeah,
I've also been playing it on my Switch.
mm,
That's a little bit less fun. It's not I cannot hook it up to anything, so I cannot go to a server that I play on. It's like
right.
that's
Okay,
the
got you.
one problem I have with it. There are Bedrock servers you can run with like the. I'm not against Bedrock. I think it's probably a better source than the Java version is.
Hmm.
And I have nothing against Java. It's just
Well, Java was the original, and that's the
yeah.
place where you can most heavily mod things. And Bedrock has been very
Yeah,
limited by
I
that.
love having the ability to mod stuff. But the
Right.
problem with the Switch version is you cannot even if you have like a third party server,
Hmm.
like a Bedrock server, you can get
Or
Bedrock
even a Realm
servers.
server.
You can do realms, but they're only realms for Bedrock.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so I find it that the distinction they make between them, I understand it because of the formatting of the stuff that's different, so
Hmm.
they couldn't like mix that up. I think that's still a bit cheesy. Like, I think they can make it work, right?
Yeah,
They could probably make it work.
you would wish that they would just solve this problem, but also, when they bought it, I don't think their intention was to replace the Java version. I just think when there was performance um, being done, that they just had a much closer relationship to redoing it in C versus the way it was being done originally in Java,
Well,
which
as soon as they kill the Java version next year, then they're gonna run into some trouble
yeah,
because like nobody's gonna accept that.
right, because everyone is used to the modding the Java version.
Yeah, and
And
what is going to happen is people are gonna decompile it and build their own like it's already happening with like the modding community. So
mm,
I think that at some point somebody's just going to say, okay, enough is enough.
yeah.
This is annoying. We don't want your Microsoft accounts.
So I mean, it's perfectly fine if you're just running it locally and you're doing your own thing. But when you want to share with friends, like you're running the Java OG server, right? So
Hmm.
I haven't really. I pop in every once in a while, but I've not been spending any active time in there lately because I haven't really had much free time lately.
Hmm.
But we do have a couple people that are spending a fair amount of time. Actually, two or three people that are in there all the time doing stuff. So,
Yeah.
but it's a Java one, which you pay for an independent host for.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But the problem with the Switch version is because Nintendo is so controlling.
Hmm.
Is you cannot even do like with like Bedrock. You can run your own server. That's fine. You can run your own server, 100%. But not for Switch.
Which is kind of sucks. I think that's very
Yeah,
isolated.
and like for if you get a Realm server, not just these machines are the servers that they run on are so taxed
Hmm.
that they're not performing very well. So
Yeah.
we moved to Realms for
The
Java,
the
and
Java, yeah.
it was horrible.
And it was, and when people would go in, it was basically cold starting it every time. And then it would take forever if you could get in at all.
Yeah,
When it was running, performance was great, but the problem
no,
is
it wasn't.
connectivity to it was
Yeah,
like, I don't know. And I don't know if that had something to do with whether, I mean, obviously, you live on the other side of the planet, so
yeah, but
maybe,
it wasn't hosted in. It was hosted in the U.S.
oh, was it really?
Yeah,
Okay,
these realms were
then I
hosted
don't
in the
know.
U.S., not here.
Maybe it was, but again, that was the Java version, right? That wasn't
Yeah,
the Bedrock.
yeah, but I don't think that the yeah, well,
Yeah, and we lost the great map that you had, and when you move back, we still lost the great map because that's very taxing to the server. But also, but it was so useful. Every our
I just can't bother keeping that thing up to date. Like
yeah,
if there's a new version, I want to be able to switch to the
yeah,
new version. I'll have to wait like 2 weeks on a new version of the map,
yeah, and
right?
then the update for I miss our teleporting.
Oh, there's teleport buttons now, so
Is there really?
I built
Because
them. Yeah,
I did TPX list or whatever it is. I couldn't find the command.
yeah, but the teleport button, they're buttons. They're
They're
buttons at locations. So I went by everybody's base and built buttons for everybody, so you can teleport to the specific location. You can't just teleport out of nowhere.
That's
So you
the
actually
part I
have to.
miss, right?
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
that because you're little cheatsky doodles.
Well, I like to go get lost and then just pop my way back home.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
That's not how the world works.
I know, but that was the
Anyway,
convenience
I've
of
got
that
one more. I've
previous.
got one more link.
Yeah,
Gumroad. I've been posting my stuff there for people to buy, and it's a wonderful website.
and when you finish the book.
Yeah, when I finish the book, it's going to be there too.
Yeah,
So Polymatic link /WC. It's a wonderful book. Place to post stuff.
yeah,
And you can go with the free version, and that it costs you more because there's like you pay more on every sale. So people that buy, they pay the same price, only they charge you more for their service.
Mm-hmm.
But if you buy the service, like let's say you have a lot of sales in a month and you buy the service, then you don't pay the extra tax. Not
Right.
tax,
Okay.
it's
Got
like
you.
their little charge on it because
Mm-hmm.
that's already covered by
The
the
fee.
monthly subscription.
Yeah. I got
So
you.
I don't have that many sales, so it's fine.
Right. It's not worth doing right now.
Yeah, not right now. Not for me anyway.
Right.
Okay, so let's move over to the fun stuff, or
So
maybe do
that
you
was
want to
that was
closing off
the
anything?
that was the high level of our 2020 things that got us through the year and all the changes. And I didn't include a lot of stuff. I know I rushed through a lot of stuff, but whatever.
You
Um,
rushed.
well, rush, but one of the things that I got in 2020 because my hand was sort of forced to be out of pattern. uh, Redoing my workspace area was forcing my hand to just do the thing I've been thinking about forever, and I just never pulled the trigger on. And that sort of unlocked a whole lot of other things of me just getting it all done, and especially the fact that I had to kind of exist in one place all the time. So, with that said, that just sort of unlocked little things that were on my mind that were never getting around, like looking at the laptop and never finding the right thing. And then I found the right thing and then it was not available. And then now it's out of date. And, just pulling the trigger on a bunch of stuff and just sorting out my life. And I feel so much better as a result of it. The things that were sort of the baggage I was carrying along that was irritating me was really
Mm.
helpful. So that's why I had so many new things in 2020. Um, but they were also really healthy things that helped me get through the year. And I didn't do them because of stress of the year. I did them because I had stress before the year started.
Mm.
Coupled together, I had to make those changes. It was important for me, and couldn't understand why I wasn't doing it. Like the chair, for example.
Knock it off. One of the things that I don't like is hamsters.
Oh,
This year, I bought some hamsters and they started making noises just now. I
yeah,
bought one and I got three.
yeah. This always happens, though. You always do this.
No, I bought one and they turned into three.
Oh, because one was pregnant. That's right. Yes,
The
I do.
one
I
was pregnant.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah, she
John and
actually
I do
got.
talk to each other. We just don't physically talk to each other until we do this recording once a month.
Yeah, we were not supposed to talk about the bad stuff. So.
Yeah. Okay. So move along. Fun stuff.
Yep. Well, I don't know if this is fun, but the
No.
Arecibo observatory collapsed, and you can watch the video of it happening from the drone's perspective. Polymatic
So I
VL.
Yeah, VL. So I would assume that because they had the drone up, that this was. I know that this thing was aging, and that they knew this was going to
No,
be a problem.
there was
So
already a
this was
cable that
planned.
snapped. There was already a cable that snapped. It
Okay.
wasn't
Right.
planned, but they were investigating the rest of
Oh, and then that's
the
when
thing,
it
and then
happened.
it didn't just
Uh,
snapped.
Got it. So they just happened to capture it as it was happening
Yep.
because one snapped already.
Yep.
This was a very important large dish. That's also really old too. I mean, um, a lot of the movie Contact is not based on. It's based on definitely real people and a real book, but the story is not real. But a lot of the things that happen, some components of the things that happen in the movie Contact in the book, from I'm blanking on his name.
Carl Sagan.
Carl Sagan. Thank you. I heard Carl in my head. I could not think of the last name. So, but in that movie, you can see quite a bit of it. Since then,
Mm.
obviously they've upgraded a lot, but it's
It was
hidden.
also on X Files and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a wonder, but they're not just like gonna fix it. They're decommissioning it completely, is what I heard.
yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
which is sad. So it'll probably be a tourist thing now.
Okay.
So. Okay, so that was polymatic.link/VL. Sad but interesting, and yeah, very sad. Okay, so this guy is interesting. He does lots of stuff. He does Tesla, as in like Nikola Tesla, not Nicholas. Um, but I had this in my list for a while. He basically built a Tesla turbine boat with 3D printed stuff. This guy is kind of funny, kind of interesting. I don't know. I didn't know if you'd be interested in this, John, but polymatic.link/VS.
Okay. So there's skulk sensors in new Minecraft version 1.17.
Yeah.
Captain Sparkles does a good review of what they actually do. So polymatic.link/VM for that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what people come up with in the big machines and so how they integrate this.
Yeah.
It'll be the question is can we build like automated defenses and stuff? And it doesn't, it doesn't like it responds the same way to creepers and skeletons, right?
Yep.
As it does
To everything.
people. Yeah, so you can't, you can't have it like only respond to skeletons, sadly.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That was Polymatic, that link/VM. Okay, so wild tricks for green screen. This guy's channel is interesting. He's just using a free tool called Blender, and Blender is actually pretty impressive for being free. It's open source. Polymatic.link/VV. It's become a very professional tool for something that's being open source. But this guy shows you of like doing these really interesting green screen tricks and filming, making like short films and stuff that are fairly impressive. Polymatic.link/VV.
Fun fact about this: I already had it liked on YouTube, so I already watched it
Yeah,
before. I think I watched it somewhere in July or something.
I had this for a while.
There were some artists I think that linked.
Yeah, I think it's Ian Hubert, but I had this guy for a while. This might have been something I bookmarked. I definitely bookmarked his channel of multiple of these things, and I think I eventually just put this on the list to share.
Yeah.
But thinking of things that I also watched, which I didn't make it to something I bookmarked, but your next link.
The unpickable lock.
Yeah.
Polymatic.link/VN.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been going through his videos.
Oh yeah, I don't know that I went through all his videos, but I definitely saw this.
Yeah.
Maybe a week or two ago, maybe.
So I think Destin. I think the thing that linked me to him was the Smart Everyday thing when he did collab with him.
Oh, I don't know that I saw that.
Yeah,
I've been
they
sort of
made
behind.
a baseball bat with the explosive stuff.
Oh, okay.
Where they had like bullets, like the
maybe that's why I
cartridges.
got the recommendation, but
Yeah,
some of
I'm
those
pretty
collabs have been too long for my attention span or ability to watch anything.
I think there's some sort of link in YouTube that knows that you and I know each other.
I think it's because
they're
we
like linking stuff,
cover the same interests a lot of the time, and even though like we are watching the same, like we preview each other's videos before we record for the most part, so we're hitting the same meta tags basically. So I think that's how it's overlapping us sometimes.
Yeah. So
we also probably subscribe to a handful of the same people, which is also probably how it feeds the algorithm. Okay, so moving along to me, this was interesting to me at least. The Mandalorian, I don't know if you've seen any of it yet or will ever see any of it eventually, but it's basically been not really green screen. They have been building big, huge virtual sets through this whole screening system. It's really interesting. Polymatic.link/VW. And the backgrounds that you see are not real, even though when you watch the show, they look very real. And it's a combination of virtual sets, but not green screen. And they build the sort of the landscape set, but the background and all that stuff is sort of changing real time as they're filming.
It's called The Volume, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple iterations, but this is like the newest ILM invention. And it's been deployed in a number of other movies, but it's been heavily used in The Mandalorian.
Yep. So Polymatic.link/VW.
Yep.
And then the lock-picking lawyer gets a package, and then his wife doesn't really like that package. So Polymatic.link/VO. It's just funny because it was like lock-picking lawyer and it was an unpickable lock. So I thought I'd put this video in there. It's just his reaction is like golden.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Oh,
There is a
Right.
Ms. Lockpicking lawyer. Yeah, I know. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that was probably my that link slash
VO.
VO as in orange. Okay, so indoor vertical farm in New York actually that makes well maybe it's New Jersey but serves New York that makes Japanese strawberries. Um, yeah, I generally am very interested in these, indoor vertical farms. I think they are more of our future than people realize, and that they probably could be where our farms happen instead of in big, massive piles of land. That they could probably be much more effectively, efficiently done in this kind of format. But more importantly, what people learn from that is what's going to help us when we try to colonize other planets.
Okay.
Polymatic.link/VT.
Mm-hmm. I've got another science YouTuber, Polymatic link slash VP for growing opals from scratch from Thought Emporium. It's like he collabs with some other
Mm-hmm.
YouTubers, and I like the whole. He goes into like the weeds about this, so it's
Yeah,
probably
no,
it's a very long video, but it's interesting.
yeah, I found it
Polymatic link
interesting.
slash VP
Yeah, VP as in like Paul.
Victor Paul.
Yeah. Okay. New robot farmers. I generally follow Bloomberg, or at least I follow whatever one of these channels, and I don't watch everything, but I definitely like when they do Hello World, where it's just thing about technology. And so, this one particular Ashley Vance goes on to multiple parts, and they're doing Hello World this year a little differently. And they ended up somewhere in California as they were going through the Mojave Desert area or whatever it was. And these are sort of automation or self autonomous farming equipment, new robot farmers. Polymatic.link/VU. I thought it was really interesting.
Okay. Um, I've got something to close off the year. A song by the Demon of 2020. I don't follow this channel, but I've heard some of his music before,
Mm-hmm.
and they like one of his songs is on my is not his normal stuff. His channel's called Beardy Man, and he's also known as Beardy Man.
Okay.
But he usually does drum and bass type
Mm.
stuff. I think, and there's like some songs that's actually really good. That's more chill than his normal stuff. But anyway, so Polymatic link slash VQ for a song of the Demon of 2020, and I kind of snickered at that one. It
Yeah.
was very nice.
And I snickered at this one earlier in the week. I had already bookmarked this to share this, and then I saw yours, and I'm like, okay, well, we got to go together. Ryan Reynolds is a movie celeb comedian, that kind of thing, and he has his own channel, and he does have on his own channel like other things he's doing. Right? He's got is it a gin company? Or is it whiskey? So he has other like companies that he bought or he started. He's got a like I think it's gin or whiskey or something like that, Aristotle or something like that. I forget. I have never tried it, but he also has some called Mint Mobile and whatever the thing is. They're kind of funny commercials. I always was a fan of this guy before he became like a big famous celeb. I just happened to be following him throughout his early parts of his career, and I generally like what the guy does. So he, because he sort of has a presence on his channel, he just created this thing. It's a parody, and it's a match made in hell, and I think it's his way of commenting on 2020. Polymatic.link/VR.
Hmm. Yeah, and I didn't at first I didn't notice that was him. I was like, okay.
Well, no, I don't think that's him acting in it, but
No,
that
but I
is his
didn't know
channel.
I didn't know it was his channel.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't notice
there's like a
first.
little follow-up video that was also kind of funny, but that was the
Okay.
primary one. And you think what the hell is going on? No pun was not intended. And and you're just watching it and then you're just watching it and it's like this is really strange. And then you get to the end and you go, "Oh, that is so on point." So on point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was my favorite thing this week.
Okay. So I think we can close off this year. I
Yeah,
think we're done with this. I just hope from now, today is the 5th of December. I hope from now until the end of the year,
doesn't
nothing
get worse.
explodes. No giant boulders come flying out the sky, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but if we're gonna end it all, we might as well just wipe out the whole planet because we're not
Just be
doing well
done with
right now.
2020. Reset.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Alan, where can they find you?
You cannot follow me on Twitter. Twitter.com/CHAESS. That's my last name.
You find me on Twitter at WebDevy, WEBDEVVIE. For feedback, you can reach us at podcast@Polymatic.media. Our music is by Sayuns, which you can find at polymatic.link/EK. Our Twitter is The Polymatic, and our website is Polymatic.media. And I hope you tune in next time.